The alarm screams at 6 a.m. Most people groan, slap their phone, bargain with the snooze button, and drag themselves into consciousness like they're being pulled from a warm grave. But somewhere else, someone is already awake. No alarm. No jolts, no violence against a nightstand. Their eyes just opened. Quietly, calmly, like their brain decided on its own that it was time. No ringtone, no panic, just awareness arriving like a tide. Why? What kind of mind wakes itself up without being forced? What's happening inside someone whose body says, "Enough rest, let's go," while the rest of the world needs 3 alarms, 2 backup timers, and a genuine fear of being fired just to sit upright? Is it discipline? Is it biology? Or is it something deeper, something psychological that most people never think about? Stick with me until the end, because the answer might explain far more than your sleep habits. It might explain your entire relationship with control, safety, and who you are when no one is watching. Let's start with something simple. Sleep is not just rest. It's one of the most psychologically revealing behaviors a human being has. How you fall asleep, how you wake up, what your body does when your conscious mind steps aside, all of it tells a story. And the story of people who wake up naturally, without alarms, without struggle, is more complex than you'd think. Because not all of them are the same, there are at least 3 very different psychological profiles hiding inside this one quiet behavior, and each one says something completely different about the mind behind it. Let's meet them. The first group is the hypervigilant risers. These are the people whose bodies wake them up not because they're well rested, but because their nervous system never fully powers down. They wake up before the alarm because deep inside, some part of them is always on guard. This often traces back to early life. Maybe they grew up in an unpredictable household, a parent whose mood shifted without warning. A home where mornings could be calm or catastrophic, and you never knew which one until you opened your bedroom door. Maybe it was something quieter, emotional neglect. A childhood where no one was coming to wake you up gently, so you learned to wake yourself up. You learned to be ready before anyone could catch you off guard. Psychologically, this is a form of hypervigilance, a state where the brain remains partially alert even during sleep because rest, at some point in their history, wasn't safe. The amygdala, which is the brain's threat detection center, stays engaged. It monitors, it listens, and when it senses that the world is about to start moving, it pulls you awake, not with kindness, but with readiness. These people don't wake up peacefully, they wake up prepared, and there's a difference. You'll notice them. They're the ones whose eyes open and immediately start scanning. What time is it? What needs to happen? What could go wrong today? Their feet hit the floor fast, not because they're excited about the morning, but because lying still feels dangerous. Stillness for them was never neutral. It was vulnerability. And here's the part that most people miss. They often don't know this about themselves. They think they're just morning people. They think they're disciplined. They wear it like a badge. But underneath, their early rising isn't ambition. It's armor. Their body learned long ago that the one who wakes up first controls the narrative of the day. And control, for someone whose past was uncontrollable, is everything. If this sounds like you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your brain adapted brilliantly to a world that once required you to be alert. The question isn't whether that adaptation served you. It did. The question is whether you still need it now, or whether you're protecting yourself from a danger that no longer exists. The second group is the anxious preemptors. These are the people who wake up before their alarm because their mind has already started working, not processing rest, not easing into the day, working, planning, worrying. Running simulations of everything that could go sideways in the next 16 hours. You know this feeling. You set your alarm for 7, you wake up at 6:12, not because you're refreshed, but because your brain is already catastrophizing. Catastrophizing in psychology is the tendency to immediately jump to the worst possible outcome and treat it as the most likely one. It's not irrationality, it's not a weakness, it's a cognitive strategy. An exhausting one, sure, but a strategy nonetheless. The brain believes that if it can anticipate every disaster, it can prepare for every disaster, and preparation to an anxious mind is the closest thing to safety, so they wake up early. Not with an alarm, but with a thought. Did I send that email? What if the meeting goes badly? What if they don't like my work? What if today is the day everything falls apart? Their eyes open and the mental checklist is already scrolling. It's like their brain booted up 10 minutes before they did and has been loading tabs ever since. These are often the most reliable people you know, the ones who never forget a deadline, the ones who always have a backup plan. The coworker who anticipated the problem before anyone else saw it. The friend who packed an umbrella when the sky was still clear. They seem organized. They seem to be on top of things. But inside, they're running on a fuel that never stops burning. Psychologically, this connects to something called anticipatory anxiety, which is basically the fear of what hasn't happened yet. Their mornings aren't peaceful. Their mornings are rehearsals. They mentally walk through the day before it begins, testing every scenario, bracing for every failure so that when reality arrives, they've already survived it once in their head. And here's the contradiction: it works. These people are rarely blindsided, they're rarely unprepared, they catch mistakes before they happen, they hold things together when everyone else panics, but the cost is invisible. They're tired before the day starts. They've already lived through 8 hours of worst-case scenarios by the time they pour their coffee. Waking up naturally for them isn't a sign of balance. It's a sign that their anxiety is more punctual than their alarm. Their worry has its own schedule and it always runs ahead. If this is you, know this. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's overprotecting. It learned somewhere, maybe from a failure that blindsided you, maybe from a moment where you weren't ready and paid the price, that the only way to feel safe is to feel prepared. And preparation for your mind starts the second your eyes open. The exhausting part isn't the waking up, it's that you never really stopped being awake. Now, the third group is different, and honestly, they're rarer than you'd think. These are the internally aligned. The people who wake up naturally because their internal world and their external world are actually in sync. Their circadian rhythm, which is the body's biological clock, is functioning the way it was designed to. They go to sleep when they're tired. They wake up when they've had enough rest. No negotiation, no resistance, no war between the body and the alarm. Psychologically, this alignment is connected to something researchers call self-concordance, which is the degree to which a person's daily life matches their internal values, rhythms, and needs. People who wake up naturally and peacefully tend to have something most people don't, and that's a life that doesn't feel like a performance. Think about that for a moment. Most people set alarms because their schedule is imposed. Work starts at 8, so the alarm goes off at 6:30, regardless of when the body actually finished resting. The alarm isn't a tool, it's an override. It tells the body, I don't care what you need, the world needs you now. But the internally aligned have somehow structured their lives, or at least their relationship with their lives, in a way that reduces that conflict. Maybe they've found work that matches their natural rhythm. Maybe they've set boundaries that protect their rest. Maybe they've simply stopped fighting their biology and started listening to it. This doesn't mean their lives are perfect. It doesn't mean they're free from stress or responsibility. It means they've developed something psychologically rare, and that's trust in themselves. Trust that their body will wake them when it's time. Trust that they don't need an external force to keep them accountable, and that trust changes everything. Because most people don't trust their own bodies. Most people don't trust their own rhythms. They override them constantly with caffeine, with alarms, with guilt, with the belief that rest is laziness and exhaustion is proof of effort. The internally aligned have quietly rejected that narrative. They've decided that working with themselves is more sustainable than working against themselves. Their mornings are different. They don't wake up scanning for threats. They don't wake up running through checklists. They wake up present, aware of their body, aware of the light, aware of the transition from sleep to consciousness as something natural, not violent. It looks simple, it looks effortless. But psychologically, it's the result of something deeply intentional. A person who has, over time, aligned their external life with their internal needs. And in a world that rewards self-abandonment, that alignment is quietly revolutionary. So now the question settles in. Which one are you? The one who wakes up ready because your past taught you that sleep was a luxury you couldn't fully afford. The one who wakes up planning because their mind believes that if you stop anticipating, something will slip through and destroy everything. Or the one who wakes up gently because somewhere along the way you stopped fighting your own nature and started trusting it? If one of those felt uncomfortably familiar, just sit with it for a moment. You don't need to fix it right now. You just need to see it, because here's what nobody talks about. All three of these people look the same from the outside. They all wake up without an alarm. They all start their day before most people do. They might even have the same morning routines, the same productivity, the same outward appearance of discipline, but the internal experience is completely different. One is surviving, one is controlling, one is flowing, same behavior. Three entirely different psychologies, and that's the part that matters. Not what you do, but why you do it. Not that you wake up early, but what's pulling you awake. The hypervigilant riser needs to learn that safety doesn't require constant readiness. That they can rest fully without losing control. That the morning will still be there even if they arrive at it slowly. The anxious preemptor needs to learn that not every day requires a rehearsal, that some disasters never come. That preparation has a point of diminishing returns, and past that point, it's just suffering in advance. The internally aligned need to protect what they've built, because the world will constantly pressure them to abandon their rhythm for someone else's schedule, to override their biology for productivity, to trade peace for performance. All three are valid, all three are human, and all three deserve to understand what's actually happening when their eyes open in the dark and the world is still quiet. Because that moment, the one before the day begins, before the noise starts, before anyone needs anything from you, that moment reveals you. Not the version of you that performs, not the version that copes, the real one, the one who exists in the space between sleep and responsibility, and maybe that's the most honest version of anyone. The one who wakes up before the mask goes on. So let me ask you this. Tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, before your feet hit the floor, before the thoughts rush in, before the world starts pulling, just pause. Just for a second and ask yourself, what woke me up? Was it fear? Was it worry? Or was it trust? The answer won't change your morning, but it might change how you understand yourself inside of it. Tell me in the comments. I want to hear which one you are, not which one you wish you were. The real one. If this made you see something in yourself you hadn't named before, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. We go deep into the kind of psychology that doesn't just explain behavior. It explains you, like the video. It helps more people find messages like this one. I'll see you there.